All right. Well, welcome to Atlas Answers. This is our May 2026 session. And today we are going to be discussing tools to increase regulation and engagement. Let's see. All right. As you can see, our topic is tools to increase regulation and engagement. And we are going to talk about how we can get students engaged in class, kind of increasing the regulation in class so they're in the classroom more, and what options do we have within Atlas at our library to assist with those. I am Carrie Bridges. I am the program manager of Atlas. I'm going to be sharing with you today. If you're not familiar with Atlas, this is just a little overview of what we have to offer. So the Atlas Project is an equipment lending library. We are a no-cost service. We loan assistive technology devices, tools, apps, and other resource materials to Indiana LEA. So any K-12 public school in Indiana can use our services. The items that are in today's presentation are in our library and available for loan. Atlas provides 6-week loans through our program. So you can go online, you can request items, and then you are able to use those with your students for 6 weeks at no cost to you. So talking about regulation, engagement, and assistive technology. So you want to have appropriately selected assistive technology items that can promote emotional well-being in students with disabilities, which allows them greater regulation and engagement in the school setting. So how can this support them? Or how can we support them? So helping them with self-regulation, having active participation in schools and their communities, creating meaningful relationships, and then also having increased competence so allows them to have those tools. So, speaking about tools for self-regulation, what do we have in our library that could support your students? So, we have sensory support. So, if a student is sensory seeking and or sensory avoidant, these tools can help make the environment more comfortable for that student. So, some of those options you're going to see here are going to be our top row is this snug vest. So, it's something that is weighted and your student can wear. We also have the Hush Buddy noise reducing earmuffs. So their headphones are going to reduce that noise, that background noise that students sometimes have in the classroom. And these ones come in different animals and different just like fun options. So, it's a little bit something fun and exciting for students to have. We have the PECS visual schedule on the top row as well. So this really helps students know what's coming next. So we use visual schedules and timers to increase that predictability throughout the day. So students know, hey, we've finished math and now we're going to take a break and then we're going to move into reading. They can take items off as things happen or, kind of close them off so they know what they've already done and what's still to come. Some of the other items we had, you can see on the bottom row, are the time timer. This particular one is the time timer plus 20 minutes. Well, in our library, we have lots of different options. We have really large time timers. We have watch time timers so students can wear that. We have timers that have dry erase around them. So maybe you're giving them a certain amount of time to work on different activities. And so you can write those on there. And when we reach that activity with the time timer, it's time to move to the next one. We also have the heavy hugger weighted sloth, which is always a big one in our office that people enjoy. So you can either hold it, its legs and its arms both have, I think it's Velcro or buttons on them. So if they wanted to put it around their neck to feel that sensory input, they can button those arms and then it stays on them. So it's a really great way to kind of get that sensory input that a student might be seeking. And then lastly, we have the foot fidget, which is something that can be put on either the bottom of a chair or a desk, and then it allows students to kind of move their feet, have that fidgeting without making distractions within the classroom. So some other tools that we have for active participation in the school and community are going to be the adaptive games and then also the alternative seating options that we have. And both of these can increase participation with disabled, but as well as non-disabled peers. So a lot of what we're looking to do is to get our students who maybe have a disability to be able to participate with their non-disabled peers and be a part of that general education classroom. So some of the things that we have in our library include the Switch adapted Hi-Ho Cherry-O game, which is really awesome. It is the regular Hi-Ho Cherry-O game, so any student can play it. But as you can see, it also has that kind of little extra board with the red and the blue buttons to push. And so a student can't pick up those cherries, put it in the basket, then they use the adapted version. So they're still able to do the same thing. They're just doing it in a little bit different way. But the students who are able to play the traditional game also still have that option. Another item that we have that's usually pretty popular is the alternate spinner. So I know as a former math teacher, we often made games using dice. So, you're rolling them to make numbers to multiply or divide or add. But using those dice can be hard for students. So the alternate spinner is awesome. There is a red button on the bottom right corner you can see. You press that button, and then the spinner is going to spin and stop. And then you can either have students use just the outside dice choices. You could have them use just the inside dice choices. You could have both if you're looking for double digits or you need two numbers. So it really allows students to participate in that same activity that other students are using dice for and be right there with their peers. This also can be switch adapted. So if that button is not big enough for your student, there are more options. And then on our bottom row, we have some of our new seating options. So this first one, the green one, is the LeCi-PAL seating system. So this allows students to be, closer to their peers and has a lot of support. As you can see within the chair, they can be strapped in if they need to have that kind of extra layer of security. It's got a footrest for them, and then they can sit with their peers. Maybe this is what they're doing instead of sitting on the floor during circle time. Similarly, we have the Special Tomato Soft Touch Sitter. The Special Tomato Soft Touch Sitter is the blue piece that you see there in the far bottom right photo. The base underneath it is the mobile base. So that sitter attaches to the mobile base, and then the student can sit there, but they can also move around. So maybe they're going to be at doing stations. So they're going to move from one station to another, and they can participate just like their peers. They also can use this to sit at circle time or even be pulled up to a table. So if you're doing group activities and all the other students are sitting in their traditional chair, the student can be in this sitter and then come up to the table to work with their peers. So then we have some tools for meaningful relationships. So apps that we have that can help students learn about relationships and appropriate interactions. There are low-tech options, mid-tech, and high-tech AAC systems that also can provide spoken language for students who may have those communication needs, because we want all students to be able to communicate with teachers, with peers, with parents. That's really important. So some of the options that we have available in the apps are going to be the Pictello app, which has some visual stories that you can use for different topics with students. And then also the social skills with Billy app allows you to kind of go through those appropriate interactions. What are those going to look like? How are we reacting in a certain situation? In our middle row, we have some of our low to mid tech communication systems. So the blue picture, or the picture of the blue and yellow item, is one of our low tech PEC systems. So there are pictures with lots of different choices on them. So there's water, drink, snacks, right? There's hundreds of choices that you can pick. You can also put things like I want, I have, I need. And so the student can pick and choose what they want to use in order to communicate. So maybe they want to say, I want snack, and they're able to communicate that. It does have a lanyard on it, so they're able to take it with them, so it's completely mobile. And then the next item that we have right next to that PEC system is going to be the GoTalk Connect. So that one currently has 12 grids on it, and that can be specific to your students' needs. You also can take the page overlays out, and so maybe one is about math, maybe one is just when you're having circle time, maybe one is for just the general classroom use. So you're able to interchange those in and out so that you have different options for your students. And it also has different amounts of grids that you can use as well. So if you don't want to use 12, you want to use less, there is a different grid pad that you can put on top and have less options for your students. The bottom row is going to give you some of our high-tech options. So we have the TV Navio devices, so a couple different sizes. So depending on like what your students' needs are, how old they are, that might affect which option would be best for you. And then we also have the LAMP app on an iPad. So we have iPads that we can upload that LAMP and other actual app communication apps as well. So your student can use that. So it's just like having an iPad for them, but they have all those communication options right there in their hands. So we're talking about increasing competence. We want students to learn and practice material without constant assistance from adult. We want them to be independent. We want them to be able to work in the classroom and be successful academically. So what can we do to help them with that? One of the things we have is Genio Notes. So that is an app that can help students take notes, which can be super helpful. So sometimes, they're paying attention, they're following along in class, but they aren't able to take those notes that they're going to need later. On the top row, we also have the Dolphin screen reader with refreshable braille display. So if a student is blind, low vision, needs that braille input, they are able to do that as well and participate. The middle row is the C Pen reader, which is always a really big hit because it's very small, it's very discreet. Most of our C Pen readers that we have in our library now can be connected to headphones, either Bluetooth or like a physical connection. And students can have things read to them without needing an adult to read to them, without having other people having to listen to what's being read, because maybe they want to read those directions 3 times, and that's great. They can have it read to them. They're able to do that on their own. They're able to complete that assignment on their own. And then the last thing on the bottom is the Vox books. These are really great. They're kind of like those books that we had as a kid, and you press a little button when it comes up and it makes noise or a song. But these will read to a student. So they also can be connected to headphones. So a student can, sit in the library area of a room, have a book, and have it read to them individually. And sometimes, just hearing the verbal portion of the book along with reading can really help make connections for students. And it has there's lots of different level and interest of books. And so we definitely have some of those available that you can borrow. So these are just a few things that you might be able to do or use with your students, depending on what their needs are. So the question becomes, how can Atlas help you? So educators can borrow the items and the apps from our Atlas library to identify tools that might be appropriate. So maybe you want to try a couple apps and see if one works better for your student than the other. If you aren't sure what might be the best fit for your student, you can consult with one of our AT specialists, and they're going to work with you to find personalized recommendations for your student. So depending on what your student's specific needs are, what does success look like for them, our specialists can work with you to find the best option. If you do want to work with one of our specialists, you can complete the TA request form here. It's linked. It is also available on our website. You just provide us with some simple information, and one of our specialists is going to reach out to you to get that information and help you work with your student. I appreciate everyone joining us today. Here are all the ways you can connect with us. So our website, our catalog, the TA request form is linked here as well. We can be reached via email at k12atlas@eastersealscrossroads.org. We also have a monthly newsletter that goes out with new items, new updates, just some information regarding assistive technology. If you want to sign up for that, we do have that link there as well. And then as well as our social media platform. So we like to promote new items there, show them off, kind of what we're doing, what we have available, what's coming up within our program. I'll take a minute here and see if anyone has any questions. But if not, I really appreciate you joining us today, and I hope that we can support your students.